tonight we go through Chine Colle.
How do you spell that again?
Chin, new word, Colle.
And is there an accent aigu?
Probably. I think it literally means, if you translate it literally from the French, it's Chinese glue.
Okay.
So, pretty much does what the name says it does. So, we're taking a print that's been done on a thin Japanese or Chinese paper, and then gluing it to a thicker piece of paper as backing. So we do it for a couple of reasons. One, the washi paper, the thin paper, it's fairly thin. It's really strong. It's quite strong, such a good quality washi paper. But there's a chance you could damage it.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to.
Oh.
Just trying to shut this off. Actually, sorry.
You watch
We
demo
prefer
before?
you.
Yeah, no, I was actually just looking at the spelling. I was looking at the spelling.
The future is on.
I was looking at the spelling and then tried to shut it off. Okay, shut off now. My phone is shut off. Okay.
That was perfect timing though, honestly.
Well, obviously, I'm here for Chine Colle.
Okay. Did I spell it right?
It's like
Is it L?
C. It's like a big C.
Yeah.
H-I-N-E, and then a big C-O-L-L-E with a
Accent aigu.
yeah on
Okay.
the E.
Is it actually easy?
On that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's thin, so even though it's strong, like you could potentially damage it or wrinkle it. Some people do just print just on the paper and just leave it as it is. It's quite a nice paper. Secondly, if you back it onto a white backing paper, you can see the color difference between the washi paper and the white backing paper. So you get that nice color difference. So we'll need a few things. So first you have to print on the washi, like so. You want to make sure the ink is dry. Really make sure it's dry. Even with this the water-soluble inks, you want to give it a few days, even like a week, before you start Chine Colling. If you don't, then the ink will be too wet, and the ink might peel off your paper, or you can even tear your paper and damage it. So don't rush the drying part of it. Make sure it's dry. When you're printing on the washi, you don't have to worry about registration. Traditionally, Chine Colle is done by cutting the print that's on the washi right down to the image, like I've done here. So you don't have to worry about making it square or anything like that with the paper, because it'd be cutting out anyways. But
Say that
traditionally
again, sorry.
so you don't have to worry, like before we made a registration sheet to make sure it's nice and square.
Yeah, yeah.
With this, because we're going to be cutting out anyways, we don't have to worry about making it nice and square.
Okay, right,
Right.
okay.
So for backing paper, you have to use a good quality cotton rag paper. So we talked about paper earlier. You can't use the Cougar cover, the cheaper paper. It has glues in it, like it's called sizing, the glue that's in the paper.
Which paper is that?
Cougar or Lynx, the cover stock. So the cheaper paper, but it's wood pulp based. And it actually has glues that interfere with the Chine Colle. Even Stonehenge, I wouldn't recommend for Chine Colle. Again, it has a little bit too much sizing in it, and it does interfere with the Chine Colle.
So cotton rag.
Cotton rag. So something like a Somerset satin or BFK Reeves or Arsh. Or the paper size. So it's a little expensive, but that's what you have to use. So that and that. So you can, for your backing paper, I usually like to give myself nice margins. Let's say at least 2 inches. You'll see why, and then you can make your decision if you want to go smaller, but typically I like to give myself nice big margins. That way you can really see that color difference between the washi paper and the backing paper. If it's like a 1/2 inch,
Mhm.
you can't
And
really
2.5
see.
on the bottom still?
Yeah, a little bit more on the bottom, just for your signature. We will be taping down the paper after. And depending on where you put the tape, either on the front or the back, you'll lose a little bit of the backing paper. But I'll talk about it when we get there. But basically with the backing paper, leave more room than you think you need. General rule of thumb. So what I'm going to do with the backing paper right now is I'm going to spritz it with some water. So we're going to use the paper damp. So I'll use a garbage bag and a spray bottle. I spray it, I flip it over, I'm going to do both sides. And I cover it. If you're doing multiple sheets, I'm just doing one for the demo, but if you're doing 10 Chine Colles, then you could put all 10 sheets of paper, just spritz each side and put them in the bag and just leave them there and take them out as you need to. It's okay. You'll need a registration sheet. So just as if you were printing. So this set of lines is for my backing paper, and the inside set of lines is for my image on the washi. There, and put it underneath some mylar because you want to keep your registration sheet dry. So it's a wrinkle. And then you need a piece of mylar that's just a little bit bigger than your print. So about 1/8 of an inch bigger on either dimension. So if your print is 6 by 8, for example, then your piece of mylar would be 6 1/8 by 8 1/8. So just a little bit bigger, like a hair bigger. You make it bigger because when we're going to wet this paper as well, and when you wet paper, it's going to expand. So you want to make sure this is big enough to handle the expanded piece of paper. Different types of washi will expand at different rates. I've used paper where when you wet it, it expands by like 1/4 of an inch. You just
Wow.
So if you want to be really accurate with your little piece of mylar, what I like to do is wet the washi, put it down on a large sheet of mylar, and then measure out. Then you know exactly how much it's going to expand, and then you can cut that out. Make sense? Yeah. Otherwise, you can kind of go with a general rule of thumb, about 1/8 on each dimension, which work for most types of washi. So we're using mylar. When I was in school, and what we use at the university was the back of old litho plates, like aluminum plates. They're really expensive. Like we always have leftover plates from students, so we always have a big pile of them that we can use. So I use mylar here. It's cheaper and is available. All right, so that's soaking. Registration sheet, got that there. The glue that we'll be using is rice paste. So it's actually a rice starch paste. There's a couple of different brands. There's Nori. This one's Yamoto. They're all the same. You can make your own rice paste if you wanted to. I think you just boil rice for a really long time until you get the starch out of it. This has a preservative in it, so it'll last a long time. The stuff you make at home, you have to kind of keep in the fridge and then use it within a certain amount of time. There's also a wheat paste you can get, but this is what I use.
Where do you find this?
I think Hues actually sells rice paste. Pretty sure they do. I know Art Placement sells it. The nice thing about the rice paste is it's archival, so it's acid free. It's also reversible.
You guys
So
sell rice paste?
The nori?
Rice paste. Unfortunately.
No?
Well, we have yes paste, which is similar, isn't it, Patrick?
What's it made out of?
Yes paste.
Ah,
It is made of 100% acid free.
okay.
Easy to clean up, water based.
Maybe. I thought you carried like nori or something.
Nori. Oh yeah, unfortunately we're out.
Okay.
But maybe by the time are you gonna do some, like, Lana can order some
Okay.
nori paste. Normally I have some nori paste at home that I bought here.
And I'll have this tube here for us. We don't need that much. So acid free and it's reversible. So when you finish cleaning, if you want to change out the backing paper, maybe it gets damaged, or you want to change the color of it or type of paper, you can actually take your print, soak it in water, and the print will lift. And then you can re-Chine-Colle it.
Really?
So, yeah.
This is really expensive. I'm sure it's the same, but anyway, we'll get some small nori paste.
Cool.
A little goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people use spray glue, like spray adhesive for Chine-Colle. That's not reversible, and it's hard to find a good quality archival spray glue, and it's very toxic. So,
And where do you get that from?
spray glue? They sell it at books. No, that's not bookstore. Our replacement would sell it at Michael's.
Yeah, is it
Yeah.
made by
3M.
Oh, 3M.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of toxic.
It's
Fair enough.
repositionable or permanent?
There's different types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3M makes it, you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, if you're going to do Chine-Colle with spray glue, I would set up a box and put your print in there and spray inside the box because the glue will go everywhere. You usually get glue on your arm hair.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of arm hair and it's really, you have to wear a mask.
Rice glue.
So we're using this. I'm just saying there's options if people are looking for options. I guess it's easier.
The rice glue is pretty easy.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Just gonna be a little patient. I
Yeah.
enjoy it. So start by. So I'm gonna put my print on the washi face down on the mylar. Which has a really good curl on it. Gonna center my print on the mylar. And then I'm gonna take my water bottle and spray the back. So your print will look like this. It'll be kind of transparent.
Oh,
So make sure you got the back that's facing up. I've done it a few times where the printed side ends up being the facing up, and then when you try to Chine-Colle, it doesn't stick. So because the ink prevents it, and you're wondering why. That's why, probably. So it'll be quite translucent. And then you want to take a towel. I use a little microfiber cloth, and you want to blot the excess off. So you want it damp, but you don't want it soaking wet.
are you blotting the excess off of the back or the front?
The back,
Okay.
the side that's facing up. So the
'Cause
side that's facing up right now.
because the mylar is still on the other side.
Yep, the mylar's
Yeah.
still there, so now it's kind of, it's
Oh,
basically
that
stuck.
helps. Yeah, that helps.
When
Okay.
you wet it, it's basically glued onto there with water. Do that, and then I have a bowl. You want to take a little bit of paste. You make a really cool noise. And then, so put that much. And then you want to water it down. This is way too thick, so you want to water it down. So a couple of sprays. And kind of work the water and the rice paste together. I have a fancy bamboo brush. It's nice to have, it's not necessary. You get a normal paintbrush, that would work.
Those are goat hair. Nice, soft.
Yeah, so any kind of soft brush would work. And then starting at the center, you want to brush the rice paste onto the back of the print on the washi. So kind of like this. On the YouTube channel, I did do a video at home in my studio, and I set up the camera right above me,
Oh,
so you
that's
can
a good
actually
idea.
watch me do this
Yeah,
instead of me.
cool.
So I'll make sure there's a link for that. I'm gonna send out an email next week.
So start at the center and spread the glue out
Yeah.
outwards.
Outwards. That takes care of any air bubbles. Usually with another towel, you want to blot off the excess glue. You can't have too much glue. If there's way too much glue, when you go to do the Chine Colle part, it could squish out from behind the print, especially if you're using a press. So just a thin layers, rice paste is all you should need. Just blot it. So it wants to look like this. It should look like the same as before, but it's glued now. It's glued in the back. So you put that on your registration sheet. I'm just using the registration sheet to help me keep my image square to my paper. If you want to use a bigger sheet of backing paper, do your Chine Colle, then trim it down after. That's good too. And then my dampened piece of bag paper. You want to use some newsprint and then blot it. So it's not soaking wet, just damp. So when you pick it up, there should be no shiny spots, but it should be damp. No shiny spots, still damp, so the paper's soft. And there's enough moisture in the paper to help with the sticking of the glue. And then I'll use my registration sheet. Lay that down. And then basically have to apply pressure, just like you're printing. Normally use a press. We don't have one, so
You could use this one.
I don't know if that would.
No, you don't think so?
Maybe we can try it sometime, but you can do this by hand.
Right. I did it by hand.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't start doing Chine Colle by hand until I started teaching at Hues.
Really?
Yeah. Someone asked me, "Can we do Chine Colle?" I'm like, I don't know. This is a press, so then I worked it out.
But if you don't have a press, then you have to do it by hand at home anyway.
Yeah.
Or here.
Yeah.
There's a few people, that you can do more than, I can set up a little table for you if you wanna do your Chine Colle, and so you have room here, and if you want to do it by hand.
So is it like not, it must traditionally be done by hand?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just spoiled.
Yeah. You don't make your students do it by hand?
Could.
Oh, you
For extra credit.
And I'll get to use the presses until second year.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
That's a plan.
You've done it right. So you can see it's coming off the mylar.
Oh, very nice.
A little crooked, but that's okay.
Wow.
I'll trim it after.
So good.
Oh,
You
I
can
see what
see-
you mean, yes,
yeah,
and then
so
you
you
can
see the
just
color
trim
change.
it so
Yeah,
that
you can trim it after.
it's perfect. or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, this had a bit of a curl to it, so when I laid it down, I think it moved. So,
Nice, very clean and crisp.
yeah, yeah. It's really
So did
relaxing
you
because all the
do
printing's
that
done
from a
differently.
photograph?
Pardon me?
How did you, that's a transfer?
It's a woodcut.
Oh, okay, you did that woodcut?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
Very nice.
he used the rice paper, right?
Yep.
The
Yeah,
Kitakata.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so those flowers there are a couple of them done on
Yeah.
rice base. Tonight you
Yeah.
could, if you
Oh,
wanted
yeah,
to.
yeah, those
Then
ones,
they could get Chine Colle
You
to
could,
do a
absolutely.
Oh,
nice
yeah.
rag piece.
yeah, wow.
Be a good use for it.
So this one, the paper is still damp. So if you just left it out, it's gonna start curling and wrinkling.
Yeah.
So what I wanna do is flatten your paper. So we have a couple of options. At the university, we have a bunch of boards. And you can put your print in the boards and then put a bunch of weight on it, and that should help flatten it. It works okay. I myself like to stretch out my prints on a piece of wood. So I like to use, so it's fiber tape or filament tape. They sell it at Home Depot, Princess Auto, or else you can order it through Uline and get a big box like I do.
Where did you say Princess Auto or
Home Depot?
Home Depot?
I think all the home improve, like Rona.
Rona,
Like, I
yeah.
think they have
Canadian
all
Tire would
of
have
it.
it as well,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I actually think I got mine at Canadian Tire.
yeah. So I call it fiber tape, but it's also called filament tape. So it has pieces of fiberglass running through it to make it really strong.
Strapping tape. is
Strapping
what I
tape.
want.
Yep. And then we're going to tape down the edges and then make sure they're really stuck down. We're going to rub down the tape. And then when as it dries, it'll contract, but because the edges are taped down, it'll stretch it and stretch it flat. So if you tape from the front, the tape will leave a mark on your paper, like a little bit of a rough mark. So that's what I mean by giving yourself more backing paper than you think you need, because then when it's finished drying, you'll take the tape off and then trim down the paper to get rid of those rough marks. If you're doing like a suite, for example, and you want the paper size, a certain paper size, and you want to spend more money on paper and have to trim them all down, if you're doing Chine Colle, what you can do is tape from the back. So if you tape from the back, you'll still get those marks, but because they're on the back, and as long as you're careful taking off the tape, you won't see them from the front. So usually I do it from the back. I should just have oh, yeah.
And are you using that kind of tape because it's stronger?
Yep.
Okay.
Some people use watercolor tape. It's that brown tape that has glue on the one side that's activated by moisture. That's super strong. It's really hard to get off your board after.
Oh, right,
We
right.
have like 6 or 7 boards at the university with watercolor tape.
Really?
Yeah, we tried. We spent an afternoon trying to
Get it
remove that tape. Yeah. If you get to the habit of taking it off right away, then it's not too bad. But if students just cut their prints out and go and leave it there for a while, then that's what happens.
How's it to remove from the paper?
You can't really remove from the paper. You will have to trim.
You would have to trim.
Yeah, even from the
Oh,
back,
yeah.
you'll get
Okay.
a brown tape frame, I guess. And then you want to make sure it's really stuck down. So we're going to rub the tape with. I'm using a burnisher, so it's a traditional etching tool. So we're just going to use the flat side of it. If you don't have a burnisher handy, a metal spoon would work. The back of a knife would work. Just something smooth. Just to make sure that it's stuck down. And pay attention to the edge of the paper. So Punisher is really good for this. We have a folder he used for making books.
Bone folder.
Yep, that would work. And that's it. Let it sit overnight. You can take your tape off, and then you have your Chine Colle print.
So you just take the tape off gently?
Yeah, so when you take the tape off, I kind of pull towards the edge of the paper, and as long as you're gentle, you should be fine.